रामू, 2 चाय दे यार।
अरे नहीं यार, एक चाय कॉफी।
इसको 30 डिग्रीज कर देते हैं।
अरे नहीं यार, 45 डिग्री सही है।
इस बार मनाली चलते हैं।
नहीं नहीं, गोवा।
सच है, we Indians disagree on everything, but we agree. SBI is the banker to every Indian.
अरे SBI कॉन्टेक्टलेस डेबिट कार्ड, सही भाई, आई एग्री।
SBI का वीडियो KYC सेविंग्स अकाउंट, सही है यार, फाइनली आई एग्री।
SBI से ट्रैक्टर लोन लिया, पाजी ये 100% सही किया।
SBI का होम लोन, जानू, दिस टाइम आई एग्री विद यू।
आप भी एग्री करेंगे। SBI is the banker to every Indian. बाकी बातों पर लगे रहो।
मुंबई मुंबई
चेन्नई चेन्नई।
I am the blue of the limitless sky. I am the inspiration that lets success soar high. I will achieve, I will fly high. I am the I in SBI.
I'm backed by the nation's trusted bank, SBI, the banker to every Indian.
Good afternoon and welcome back once again. We have very eminent speakers with us, Mr. Ramdev Agarwal, Chairman Motilal Oswal Financial Services, Mr. Dheeraj Relly, MD and CEO of HDFC Securities Limited. We are starting the Experts Roundtable session, the stock market story, learning from the big bull and scam 1992. I'm sure this would be a very, very interesting session, and as well as very apt topic for discussion, since both this movies are big hit. And with this, I'll hand it over to our moderator, Mr. Siddhant Mehta, partner, Boston Consulting Group. Over to you, Mr. Mehta.
Thank you, Arnab. I think it's been really fascinating to hear the various industry leaders talk through the day, share their thoughts, and would call out a thanks to the Bengal Chamber for organizing this financial market conclave. A very good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's watching, and also a welcome to our esteemed panel members. Welcome Dheeraj, welcome Ramdev. As Arnab said, I think we have a very interesting topic. The stock market story. I think the learning from Big Bull and Scam 1992. To get going, I think the Indian stock market has had a significant evolution over the last few decades, and in the last 18 to 24 months itself, it has had a very, very interesting story. While all of us have and are still dealing with the pandemic, I think the market has seen a tremendous journey in this period. Some interesting points which indicate and highlight some of this journey. One of the very interesting things that I noticed was the stock market actually grew from, we reached the $3 trillion market cap recently, right? And the $500 billion market cap that got added from 2.5 to 3 trillion was actually added in about just over 150 days, which is just about 5 months. What is interesting is the previous $500 billion, that took more than 1,200 days. That's about 7 to 8 times, from 2 to 2.5 trillion versus 2.5 to 3 trillion. I mean, this gives great joy, but also I think it raises a bit of caution. I think that we have all been sensing. Right? I think while there is, that happening on one extreme, there's also a dramatic influx of retail investors that we have been seeing, in the stock markets. The last year saw about 1.4 crores customers, investors get added to the stock market. And if we look at the numbers in the last quarter of or the first quarter of this year, that pace has only accelerated. Right? And I think in the larger scheme of things, I think this is a very pivotal moment for the entire market, because at the highest level, if you look at just the share of financial savings that get driven from equity, it's still fairly low as we compare to some of the other markets, right? So needless to say, I think very interesting times for the financial markets, and look forward to getting perspectives from both you, Dheeraj and Ramdev, on some of these topics. Maybe to kickstart the discussion, Dheeraj, I'll invite you on the first question, right? As I was saying, I think one of the major trends that we have seen is just this significant influx of retail investors in the last 18 months. 14 million investors have gotten added. The number is only increasing. The pace is only increasing. In your view, how is this shaping, the stock market? What impact is it going to have? And how do you see this trend to play out?
The question is for me, Siddhant?
Yes, Dheeraj.
Okay. Thank you, Siddhant. I think we have had a fabulous influx of the customers in the broking industry, and we are all very happy with that. We all were yearning and waiting for the same for last 2 decades. We've been working relentlessly in the equity space and trying to entice the customers with the potential of that equity offers. If you look at the 5 years, 10 years, 20 year, 30 year numbers, you will see that 10 year and above, Sensex has given continuously double-digit returns and outperformed all asset classes. However, it took long for the customers, investors to appreciate the potential. I think the pandemic paved the way for us. The only fallout, the positive fallout of the pandemic is that we have seen people had time, people had resources, people had equipments, mobile phones, gadgets available with them to participate in the market, and they got the significant correction in the March 2020. So that actually triggered a big movement for the customers. And I would like to thank SEBI also for taking the positive move by allowing the digital onboarding of the customer. That changed the landscape for the acquisition and reduced the cost of acquisition. So that's from the influx of the customers. But what it brings to the table is very different thing. It changes the balance and the equation in the market. The markets were earlier dominated by the institutional investors, whether it is FPIs or domestic institutional investors. But now the equation has changed. Retail plays incrementally a very, very important role. This also gives an opportunity for corporates to access to the growth capital also. Along with the investors, what we've seen, the boom in the IPOs as well, and seeing that many customers are using the IPO as a route to invest into the stock market. So it has changed the dynamic and the balance of the market, and it has provided the liquidity to the market also. I am hoping and looking forward for that this kind of momentum to continue. As you have rightly articulated, the penetrations of the equity in India is still at abysmally low, just about 4% or so. If you look at the active clients, it will be less than 3%. So we have a long way to go to catch up with China, where this penetration level is 13%. Forget about US and other developed economies where this is as high as 45 to 50%. So that's where we are, Siddhant, in the addition of retail clients.
Completely agree, Dheeraj. And as you said, it's a very, very pivotal sort of journey and moment for us. Ramdev, would be quite helpful to get your views on this topic as well. And I think not only what has sort of driven this influx, but how do we also continue this momentum and not make it a story of the last couple of years and all the reasons that Dheeraj described, because as all of us know, I think the journey for us is very long, right? There's a long way to go. So request your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most important. If we can just discuss in half an hour just about this subject, I think this is hugely important. And for some reason, the retail investors were held back for last, say, 25, 30 years. Once the digital and SEBI came in 93, 94, after that, this KYC regulations came. And then there was no breakthrough. I mean, everybody tried. SEBI itself tried. We also tried. Everybody tried. But I mean, it actually started becoming worse, actually. And people were actually held off while they're coming with the money. See, the KYC is required for when you're lending money, because you're lending, you're taking risk on him. But when he's bringing his money into the market, actually you should come with without any asking for any questions, you are coming with the money. You have a bank account, period. Rest all others will take care. But no, the KYC was more stringent for the guys who were wanting to invest, not borrow. The borrowers' bank accounts are 800 million. Savings bank account, and I don't know how many millions are there in HDFC Bank, Dheeraj?
We have about 6 million saving bank customers in HDFC Bank. 6 million or 60 million? How 60 million, sorry, 60 million.
That's what I was saying,
Right.
60
million.
And SBI would be what? About 250 million? SBI?
Yes, SBI, yes.
About 250. We have in the entire stock market, small, big, 40 million customers after expansion of doubling. So till 12 months back, it was just about 20 million. So this looks to be very simple, but it is a revolution, I'm telling you. And the thing required to be done is that you give more push to a simplification of KYC, then come on the way of it. Don't get scared that there's a scam, there is a stock market, and then you stop the influx of the retail and all, because some people will burn their hand at the end of it. But that doesn't mean you stop. So I think Dheeraj dwelled upon one thing, that it brings growth capital. The function of the market are two. One, to allow the people to raise capital, companies to raise capital, and then provide secondary market liquidity for the people who have invested, so that secondary investors can come and primary investors can be relieved. So that liquidity to the equity capital is a major function. So the second function is happening very well. First function was completely dead. It is just about revived 3 months back. This has power to actually change the Indian GDP growth rate. The growth rate of the country can be changed, because there are ample entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs are not getting the money because they were in the hands of FIIs. They were in the hands of DIIs. Those guys, they are not going to give 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees to the investors. They are happy getting 5%, 10% at some crazy price. So now this retail movement is going to bring, first, it will give a good valuation to the market. Second, it will actually truly provide high quality liquidity, distributed ownership, high quality liquidity. And if the investor population goes from 40 million to say 250 million, 200 million, see, it is 5x I'm talking about. If it takes 5 years, I think you see the market structure completely changing. Completely changing. I mean, it will become more speculative, very stable. I mean, the importance of institutions will get reduced. So much more fairer, what you call discovery of the price, and a lot of small companies where institutions are not interested, below that 250, below 4,000-5,000 crores, who is interested? Only retail is interested. So who brings the small tree when it is 200 crores, 300 crores to $1 billion? When the institutions get interested, it is all retail. So retail will play a very pivotal role, and this is a revolution, I'm telling you. In my 40 years of career, nothing like this has ever happened. This is the biggest game right now in town.
And Ramdev, you know, the importance of retail, you emphasize it really, really well, right? On the multiple cascading benefits it has. But if I had to ask, right, if there was one wish or one area that the industry must act on, you both spoke about multiple things which has aided the growth, right? SEBI introduced or enabled the digital onboarding process, you know, paperless, streamlining all of that. But what would be that one additional area which ensures that this momentum continues and we continue to get an influx of retail investors? As you said, I mean, there are millions and millions who have access to financial services, who have bank accounts, but are probably not participating.
Yeah, so first thing is, don't come on the way of this revolution. Don't get scared when it becomes too big, because the pace of the influx, it's like a, you know, that Nasik Mela and all, you know, that Kumbh Mela. A lot of people come in very short while. So it will create chaos. So you have to manage the crowd. The policing has to be very good. So a lot of crooks from the corporate side will try to encash on that. So SEBI's job is to see that the bad apples don't come into the market, because they are the guys who finally approve. You know, so that is one of the very important things, because in the stock market, you can't figure out those retail, unfortunately, doesn't have power to decipher good and bad. And one of the things is that bad guys, they shine more than the good guys. So it is very difficult to figure out what is good and what is bad. And in the stock market, only good things compound, not the bad thing. So bad thing will give, if your proportion, see, on 100, either 5 or 10 bad apples, it's fine. That's part of life. But if by chance in 100, you have 90 bad apples and 10 good apples, then you have a problem. Because then it will have a very bad experience. And once retail goes back, then they may never come back. I mean, they may take a lot of time to come back. But I think not stopping them from coming and regulating the entire street, you know, it's like a Mela, you know, it's like a festival. When this festival is happening, it is a job of the SEBI and whatever regulatory authority to see that nobody plays foul.
Got it. I think just, you know, continuing that discussion of, you know, retail investors participating in the financial markets. You know, Dheeraj, I mean, in the 90s, participating in equity largely meant, you know, participating directly via the stock market, right? Direct equity participation. There were a bunch of things, you know, good and bad, as the title of our session says, right? Which were driving some of that. Over the last decade, you know, mutual funds have also sort of grown in quite a meaningful way. And a lot of investors today, you know, who are looking to participate in equity, there is this dilemma of saying, should we participate directly or should we go via the mutual funds to participate in the equity markets, right? What is your perspective, Dheeraj, on, you know, how should investors think about, where do you think the wave will move in this journey?
Siddhant, the mutual fund industry has played a very critical role to increase the penetration of equity in India. I think they have done a phenomenal job, and we've seen a significant growth in last 5-7 years only. Okay, if you look at the 25-year journey, first 20 years, it was more of a concept selling, and last 5-7 years, we've seen the growth in the AUMs, and still the AUM, equity AUM of mutual fund is still just about less than 10% of the banking deposits only. You know, it's just about 14 lakh crore and banking deposits are 155 lakh crore. So to that extent, we have long way to go to increase the equity participation. Coming back to your question, which route is a better route? I think if customers have understanding and they have learned about the markets, then they can use the direct equity route. Otherwise, for the first time investors, it is important that they should take the mutual fund route and get more diversified portfolio. Though in the direct equity also nowadays the diversified options are available through the curated baskets, and ETFs route is also available with the investors. So it's purely up to the investors and the level of understanding and skill set they have. Those who have some experience in the market, they can venture into the equities directly. They are also a word of caution to the retail investors, particularly. They should learn to differentiate between the quality businesses, quality companies versus the all other listed companies also. So if customers are entering in the market for the first time, they should focus on the market leaders only, top companies also in their respective sectors, and large cap probably will be a better choice for them.
Understood. Ramdeo, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think mutual funds are, we have the best regulation, best taxation policy for mutual funds probably in the world. So this is everybody, stock market is at one level, it is simple, but it's very difficult to really execute successfully. So the best thing is that, like, if you don't know driving, you hire a driver or a cab driver, you hire a cab. So mutual funds are nothing but a safe cab for the people who want to just invest. People are busy in their own stuff. They are farmers, they are engineers, they are doctors, they're busy in their own profession. So, investment management is a full-time job. So who can do a good job for a 0.5%, 1%? And if you're buying ETF, you're buying for 5, 10 paisa, 15 paisa. I think there is it is one of the cheapest mode of hiring a very good expert to take care of your money. So what is important in the stock market is to first start getting the market return. And market return, you get it the moment you invest in mutual funds. So if markets have done 15% compound in the last 40 years, 99% of the people don't get 15%. So let me get my retail crowd, brothers, into the fold of getting at least 15%. Their money should not be rotting into the bank or in their own sacks, which is going to give them 4-5%. So how do I take them from 5% to 15%? And that is done very easily with the mutual fund, ETFs, index funds. That is being done. Now, after that, once he learns to pick his own stocks, of course, he can dabble in the stocks. And then the big guys can definitely manage their own portfolio, and they have their own information system, analytical system, and try to earn higher than index. But I think the discussion about the retail is clearly through intervention of mutual fund and index fund. And people should learn. First, they should allocate. What is important is, if you have a crore to start, first you must allocate to equities through mutual funds, I would say. And then you want to learn a little bit of ropes of picking a stock. Then 5%, 10% you try, you will definitely lose money. Initially, there is a tuition fee to learn. So pay as small a tuition fee as possible. I have paid enough of it because that time mutual fund was not there in our time. So there was no support. You have to do it yourself and get wiped out. Most of the guys, they get wiped out. So don't get wiped out. There's no second day if you are wiped out. So you must take, definitely the first timers should definitely take help of mutual fund industry. And as they become smart, of course, they can themselves kind of take care of their portfolio. So huge role of all these guys who are coming in today. They are not coming directly to the mutual fund, unfortunately. They're entering through the direct stocks or direct stock basically. So what will happen? They will have a bad experience. Let me tell you. They will have, right now markets are riding. They will see some short-term gains, and a lot of people are entering through speculative route. They're not entering through investment route. So then in the second coming, they'll come to the SIPs and mutual funds. So it will be a gap of 2 to 3 years. The guys who lose out here, second round, they'll come to the SIP. So this churn will happen. I'm quite sure about it. But it doesn't matter how they enter. They must enter. That is what my sense is. It is going to change the profile of this country.
I'm sure, Ramdeo, I think your advice that you just gave is going to be very beneficial for many of the, early investors or the recent entrants into the stock market. And the point that you made, the contribution and the importance of mutual fund in deepening and establishing a sustainable stock market participation from retail. It's very, very critical. I think just continuing the theme of retail, right? Another important trend that has played out and has contributed quite meaningfully is this whole wave of fintechs, right? And they have been around for a while, but of late, a lot of them have become larger. A lot of them are sort of gaining scale. From your vantage point, how do we see these fintechs? Are these competitors? Are these enablers? Are they driving the industry agenda? Maybe Dheeraj, first with you, and then Ramdev, get your thoughts on this as well.
Fintechs in India have done a really great job. I think they have looked at niche areas, particularly areas where there are transaction-oriented business, where they don't need much capital. I think that these are the areas they have targeted, and they have targeted these areas very well. What they bring on the table is that they bring in passion and they focus on particular problem and solve that problem with technology and make it more scalable. So to that extent, I am a big fan of fintechs. And what we see fintechs, they are in broking industry per se, they are expanding the market, which is the most important area for all of us. The incumbent players have been working on expanding the market, but with the advent of fintechs, we have seen that the reach has increased, the products are easy, the transaction costs have reduced significantly for the customers. So it's added a big value to the industry as a whole. We don't see fintechs as a threat or a competition. We see fintech as partners, and many fintechs are giving a particular solution that is becoming an enabler. So we work with fintechs very, very closely to solve specific niche problems that may help us to serve our customers better. So that's the way we are looking at fintechs. We've been also investing in some of these fintechs also to ride on their growth story also. So I think fintechs are here to stay, and we will collaborate with them.
Ramdev, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, see, fintech, the way I understand, is that it has the power to it has the mass customization capability. It can actually reach, the good service. See, big guys can get everything. All the guys, all the bankers, they'll call. Whenever they want, 2 o'clock in the night, they'll come and serve them. But what about the small guy? Only internet can do it. Only the fintechs can do it. So it is actually most democratic force. And because of the power of platform, it doesn't matter how small a guy you are. And the small guy with her 10,000 rupees, he gets as good a service or probably more enlightened service than what even $1 million guy is doing. Because ultimately a relationship manager has limited knowledge about the products. But with the fintech, they can really reach the best of the knowledge to the smallest possible guy. So fintech has a huge role to play. They're at early stage right now. They've done a damn good job on the broking side. The reach has been fantastic. We onboard customers in less than 10 minutes. So it is not possible with any kind of even least possible human intervention. You cannot do in 10 minutes. It has to be only digital. And the scalability. You don't need 500 brokers. 10, 15 brokers are good enough to take care of this entire nation. So I think fintech had its own, but at the same time, as you go to managing money, how much role fintech had its own limitations, but they're evolving continuously. Most of the now investment management is going towards quant management, and a whole lot of rule-based investing is coming. Yeah. And that is where the fintechs are going to play a huge role. And the role of so I think it will be man plus machine kind of a situation and where earlier it was 100% man, now maybe it is 50% man, 50% digital. And as we go along, I think the role of digital in every aspect of it, even in analytical forces or buying, selling, it will keep increasing the quotient of digital, and that's what we'll call finally fintech. So I think the role of fintech will increase in every aspect of financial management.
And Ramdev, I think you summed it up really well. And I think internally, I like to call it the Iron Man approach, right? So there would be human, but there is also a machine associated with you,
Yeah.
right? Which
yeah.
is going to be the way forward. I don't think there is an answer of being just digital or just human. I think in
Siddharth,
all facets of businesses.
Yeah, Siddharth, what happens is the markets are continuously evolving machine. So market beats the machine at some point of time. Machines are extrapolating kind of a thing. Somewhere there has to be some judgmental thing. Like GFC is completely problem of machine. Machine went haywire, and even the ITNs from in Wall Street, they forgot that there is some common sense required. Giving loan to anybody, any quantity. So that happened because machine said so. So I think somewhere in the stock market, also you have to judge the difference between price and value, and that can be not done so well on a dynamic basis by the machine. There has to be human intervention.
And as we come closer to the end of our session, but I wanted to shift gears, and given this theme of scam in this series got really famous, I think there was this quote which probably caught attention of everyone, right? Which was risk hai to ishq hai, right? And on that theme, I think there has been this divergence between how the financial markets have been performing, and coincidentally this series came in about the same time, right, when pandemic hit us. The markets have rallied, and the economic situation in the country, the economic health of the country has been in a certain divergent direction. Dheeraj, what is your view? What explains this? Is this a bubble? How does a common investor understand the situation?
I think this is the single most cliche question that I get everywhere, that why there is a dichotomy between the economy, GDP performance and the market performance, why they are moving in different directions. I think if there is a need to understand that markets may not have a direct correlation with the performance of the economy. Why? Because there are many sectors that have dependence on global revenues, like pharma or even IT to large extent. So they are driven by the global growth, and there can be a non-Indian reason also why they are doing so well. Also, market always discount the future expectations, and they are discounting already the good times ahead of few quarters. It's only riding on the expectation that we will have a 20 to 22% earning growth in the next 3 to 4 fiscals. So that's something, that's the reason why we are seeing a market going in one direction and the economy going in the other direction. Having said that, I think there are green shoots in the economy also. We are seeing that tax collections are improving, GST collections are improving, and last quarter GDP growth was also almost in double digits. So that way we are seeing some green shoots also. Hopefully we are at the end of the pandemic, and we will probably grow from here onwards. Market has a habit of discounting the future expectations well in advance. That's where the market is probably ahead of the curve. And this is what happens when there is a bullish phase. And this also happens when there is a bearish phase also. When markets are able to see the problems coming ahead, and they are able to, they are more bearish than the economy sometimes. So there is no direct correlation in the economy and the markets.
Ramdev, maybe quick 60 seconds from you as well on this topic.
Yeah, so in the short run, there is there can be no correlation between markets and the economy. But in the long run, it's a weighing machine. Like as it is said, in the short run, it's a what is that? It's an opinion. In the short run, it's an opinion, but in the long run, it's a weighing machine. So if economy doesn't perform for a very long time, eventually it will collapse. So, but then the way the journey starts, at economy level, the bullishness about the economy, that economy is now opening up. Who knows in what form? China is slightly out of action. Global liquidity is massive. Cost of liquidity is massive. Collapse of fixed income. And the startups are happening. FI flows are there. Your retail flows are there. So All kinds of things are happening. So you can make your own story. But whether the story turns out to be right or not, that only time will tell. But today I have to evaluate. Say like a digital company is saying that today I'm delivering, 40 million, 400 million packets. In next 5 years, I will deliver a billion packets. Okay, now this is a story. So the issue is that markets are believing it today. That's in the mood of belief. Markets are in a greedy mode. There is a greedy mode. There is a risk mode. Right now, it's a kind of a little greedy, and hence they're riding on the stories. Whatever is the hopeful stories of future. Now, whether actually delivers or not, that's the key issue, and then it will converge. I mean, you can fool us around once, twice, thrice, and then finally, if you don't deliver, the stocks will collapse. So I think yes, there is right now liquidity is prevailing over the fundamentals, but at some point of time, the fundamentals will meet. The story right now it's a story, but numbers have to match. But that may have maybe 1 or 2 years, 3 years time.
Understood. Very helpful, Ramdev and Dheeraj. I think we have just come to an end to our session as well. I would take this opportunity to thank both of you for your time and for your thoughts. This was extremely insightful and thoughtful discussion. And thanks to everyone who joined us. Arnab, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. And we are so grateful to Mr. Ramdev Agarwal, Chairman, Motilal Oswal Financial Services, and also to Mr. Dheeraj Delhi, MD and CEO of HDFC Securities Limited. With this, we end this session on the stock market story, learning from the big bull and scam 1992. Stay with us. We'll be coming back exactly at 4 o'clock for the insurance sector. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.